So the claim I'm refuting is that MacBooks have significantly more advantages than Windows laptops for college students, and the advocate Jospe's secondary claims were: 1, that macOS is a more secure operating system; 2, MacBooks have a sturdier form factor; and 3, software has a lot of features which provides a smoother experience. My response to secondary claim 1 is that, I'm using one of their sources. It's called TechAdvisor. And TechAdvisor briefly mentions that two other sources, Business Insider and Fortune, that they both claim that Mac does freeze up because of malware. And also, Macs are now more vulnerable to attacks, as seen recently from what is known as the Fruit Fly malware of 2017. According to Hacker News, the dubbed Fruit Fly, the Mac malware was initially detected earlier this year by Malwarebytes researcher Thomas Reed, and Apple quickly released security patches to address the dangerous malware. Now, a few months later, Patrick Wardle, an ex-NSA hacker and now chief security researcher at security firm Synac, discovered around 400 Mac computers infected with the newer strain of the Fruit Fly malware, also known as Fruit Fly 2. The advocate also briefly mentioned that Macs do not require any plugin downloads such as Adobe Flash Player. However, there was no explanation as to why this was relatable to the secondary claim, and the advocate should have included a few examples of Apple-approved software so as to clarify why this would make Macs more secure than Windows. My response to secondary claim 2 was that sources were not listed for a few of the quotes that the advocate provided, which were more durable parts as noted by the price, and various features provide much more accessibility in the OS while remaining durable, and also about mousepad and multi-touch features. The advocate needed better explanation as to what multi-touch features were, and how there are more on Macs than there are Windows, and also what various features provide more accessibility in OS while keeping Macs durable. Also, based on examples such as Thunderbolt port, flash memory drive, and solid-state drives, there is not enough information regarding the Thunderbolt port, and therefore I believe it is less supportive to the main claim. And there should have been more explanation of flash memory and solid-state drives. Therefore, this information does little to help support the advocate's claim. My final response to the last secondary claim is that there was no support found for the 9 to 12 hour support for battery life. Either that or the source citation was vague, because when I looked it up, it came up as non-existent. Also, there are several other sources that were very vague and were also said to be non-existent, such as a quote that the advocate used, which was standard 1080p screens use less battery than most laptops. The advocate referred to a source called Specs, but this was not useful as I could not find the source itself. And there also needs to be better explanation as what Bootcamp User is and how it can use software application for both Windows and macOS. And there should have been more support and evidence needed overall. And also the advocate should have explained more about what the Final Cut program was, and because not everybody knows what that is. Like, according to the advocate, it was demanded by different professors, but nobody really, not many people really know what that is, so there should be more explanation given. And my overall refutation for the entire thing is that citations were not correctly formatted. Therefore, the sources were either not found or were said to be non-existent. The advocate could have made a better argument if he had used statistical evidence and data to support the claim. And also, the grounds were not so very strong. So overall, the advocate's claim was not strongly supported, and therefore I would recommend that no one takes it into consideration. Thank you.
All right, Amanda, your speech frequently sounds like an evaluation rather than a refutation. You're giving him recommendations about how he could have improved his argument, information that he needed to include into the argument, a request for clarification or justification, as opposed to telling us why his failure to do those things undermines the argument entirely, or offering any counter arguments to suggest the opposite is true. The best argument that you have in demonstrating a counterclaim is on the first point where you're talking about malware and such that is applicable to the Apple operating systems, and you have an example, and then you've got another example that follows up on that example. That's, I think, a reasonable information to show that, in fact, there is a threat in Apple products as well as Windows products. So that was okay. But after that, mostly your criticism consists of no citation, or the source isn't listed correctly, or he needed more explanation. I'm going, well, those would be things that I would say about their speech when we were doing the evaluations, as opposed to why is his proof insufficient to prove the durability of the computer, or why is it that the vagueness of his evidence undermines our ability to accept the conclusion that is being cited. You need to make claims on those things, and all you're doing for the most part is, like I said, making suggestions as opposed to a claim. You also have a tendency to do a lot of reading. You're looking down. I don't think you looked up at the audience once, and I think you need to be a little bit more confident about that and tell us what your arguments are. All right, thank you.